The air in the living room hung thick, heavy with the scent of her lavender perfume and something else, something sour, like regret. I stood frozen, my keys still dangling from my fingers, the front door half open behind me. The ultrasound photo on the coffee table stared up at me, its grainy black and white image screaming a truth I wasn't ready to hear. My wife Lena sat on the couch, her hands clasped so tightly her knuckles gleamed white, her eyes avoiding mine. And there, beside her, was Ethan, my best friend since high school, his jaw clenched, his usual easy grin replaced by a grim line. The room pulsed with silence, but it was the kind that roared, the kind that told you everything before a single word was spoken. I'd come home early from the office, a rare thing these days. The software project I'd been slaving over had hit a dead end, and I'd wanted nothing more than to collapse into Lena's arms, to feel her warmth chase away the static in my head. Instead, I found this, a moment that carved itself into my bones. My throat tightened as I dropped my keys onto the floor, the clatter echoing like a gunshot. "What is this?" I asked, my voice low, trembling with a mix of dread and disbelief. Lena's lips parted, but no sound came. Ethan shifted, his eyes flicking to the photo, then to me, then away. The weeks leading up to this had been a slow unraveling, though I hadn't seen it then. Lena had been distant, her laughter less frequent, her touch fleeting. I'd chalked it up to stress, her new job at the gallery, the long hours, the way she'd come home smelling faintly of paint and wine. Ethan, too, had been off. Our weekly beers at O'Malley's had dwindled to excuses. Work, family life. I'd noticed the way he'd avoid my gaze when we did meet, his jokes landing flat, his hands fidgeting with his glass. But I trusted them. God, I trusted them both. How do you question the woman who's whispered, "I love you," in the dark for 7 years? Or the man who carried you home after you broke your ankle at 18? "Mark," Lena finally said, her voice a fragile thread. "We need to talk." Her green eyes, usually so bright, were clouded with something I couldn't name. Guilt, maybe, or fear. She reached for the ultrasound photo, her fingers trembling as she held it like a shield. I didn't mean for this to happen. My heart lurched. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but my body felt heavy, like I was sinking into the hardwood floor. Didn't mean for what to happen? I asked, though some part of me already knew. The air felt wrong, charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Ethan stood, his broad shoulders hunched, and I noticed the way his hands shook as he ran them through his dark hair. "It's mine," he said, the words blunt, like a blade slipping between my ribs. "The baby. It's mine." The world tilted. My vision narrowed to a pinprick, the edges blurring as Ethan's confession echoed in my skull. Lena's sob broke through, sharp and raw, but I couldn't look at her. Not yet. My best friend, my brother in all but blood, had betrayed me in a way I couldn't fathom. And Lena, my Lena, had let it happen. The ultrasound photo burned in my mind. A tiny alien shape, proof of a life that wasn't ours. I stumbled back, my hip catching the edge of the console table, knocking over a framed photo of our wedding day. The glass cracked, a jagged line splitting our smiling faces. "How long?" I managed, my voice hoarse, like I'd been screaming for hours. "How long have you two been?" I couldn't finish the sentence. The word felt too ugly, too final. "It wasn't planned," Lena said, her voice breaking. She stood now, her hands reaching for me. But I flinched, and she stopped short. "It was one night, Mark. One stupid, drunken night after the gallery opening. I was upset, and Ethan was there, and—" "Stop," I snapped, my hands balling into fists. The room felt too small, the walls closing in. I could smell the rain outside, hear it tapping against the windows, a soft counterpoint to the chaos inside me. You don't get to make excuses. Not for this. I turned to Ethan, my chest tight with rage and something deeper, grief maybe. "You were my best man. You toasted our marriage. And now this." Ethan's face crumpled, his eyes glistening. "I'm sorry, Mark. I swear, I never meant to hurt you. It just happened." His voice was small, not the confident drawl I'd known for years. But his apology felt hollow, like a script he'd rehearsed. I wanted to hit him, to feel his jaw crack under my fist, but my arms stayed heavy at my sides. The days that followed were a blur of pain and pretense. Lena moved to the guest room, Her belongings a ghost of our life together. Her toothbrush gone from the sink. Her favorite mug untouched in the cupboard. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My mind replayed every moment, searching for clues I'd missed. The late nights, the whispered phone calls. The way Ethan's laugh had sounded different lately, sharper. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling. My thoughts a tangle of love and hate. I still loved her. God help me, I did. But every time I looked at her, I saw Ethan's hands on her, saw the life growing inside her that wasn't mine. I tried to confront them separately, to understand. Lena cried. Her words a jumble of apologies and explanations. I was lonely, Mark, she said one night. Her voice muffled by the pillow she clutched. You were always working, and I felt invisible. Ethan listened. Her confession stung, but it also forced me to face my own failures. Nights I'd chosen code over her, deadlines over dinner. Did I push her away? Was I complicit in this? Ethan was harder to pin down. He avoided me, his texts short and evasive. When I finally cornered him at his apartment, the air thick with the smell of burnt coffee, he looked like a man unraveling. I love her, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't mean to, but I do. His honesty was a fresh wound, but it was the desperation in his eyes that unnerved me. He wasn't just sorry, he was scared. The truth unraveled further when I found the texts. I'd borrowed Lena's phone to call my mother, mine dead on the counter. A notification popped up, a message from Ethan. We need to tell him everything. It's not just the baby. My stomach dropped. I scrolled, my hands shaking, and found months of messages. Intimate, reckless, planning a future that didn't include me. They'd been meeting in secret, not just once but dozens of times. The betrayal wasn't a mistake. It was a choice, repeated over and over. I confronted them together, the ultrasound photo crumpled in my fist. The living room felt like a courtroom, the air thick with accusation. You lied, I said, my voice steady now, fueled by a cold fury. Both of you. This wasn't one night. This was everything. Lena's face drained of color, and Ethan's shoulders slumped, but neither denied it. The silence was their confession. What came next wasn't planned. I wanted answers, closure, something to make sense of the wreckage. But Lena's tears turned to panic, and Ethan's guilt to defiance. We're leaving, he said, his voice hard now. We're going to start over, somewhere else. Lena nodded, her eyes fixed on the floor, and I realized they'd already decided, without me. The tragedy unfolded 2 weeks later. I'd moved out, crashing on a co-worker's couch, my life packed into a duffel bag. The call came at 3 a.m., the hospital's number flashing on my screen. Lena and Ethan had been driving north, their car packed with suitcases, when a semi veered into their lane. The crash was instant, the police said. No survivors. The baby too was gone. I sat in the hospital waiting room, the antiseptic smell burning my nose, my mind replaying every moment. Lena's laugh, Ethan's grin, the ultrasound I'd never hold. Grief and anger twisted together, inseparable. They'd betrayed me, but they'd paid a price I wouldn't wish on anyone. I was left with nothing but questions and a hollow ache where love used to be. The ultrasound photo sits on my desk now, a reminder of what was lost, not just them, but the version of myself who trusted blindly. I don't know if I'll ever forgive them, or myself. Some betrayals cut too deep to heal, leaving scars that whisper in the quiet moments. What if I'd seen the signs? What if I'd fought harder? The answers, like Lena and Ethan, are gone forever.